Omagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Statitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Visakamitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Sri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanu Stuti Devi Pranamami Vanchakalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Yat Kripa Tamahang Vande Sri Gurun Ninataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Eswaram Hare Krishna. So welcome back to our class. So we'll continue our discussion. In the previous class, we ended up in the text number 10, chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, still on the division of faith. So we were discussing about faith, in which mode people are being influenced, whether goodness, passion, or ignorance. We talked a little bit also about food. And today we shall continue our discussion regarding the sacrifices, austerities, and charity in the mode of in which mode people are situated. Okay, so hopefully today we can cover the whole chapter of the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, starting from text number 11. So there are two parts of our discussion today. First one is that 11 to 22. Lord Krishna describes sacrifice, austerity, and charity under the influence of the modes of nature. And then after discussing this, so Lord Krishna will tell us how we can be purified, how we can be purified in our dealings, in our activities, because even in the mode of goodness also, it is considered to be still contaminated with the material nature, because it is uh, Sattva Gun, also one of the three modes of material nature. All activities are contaminated by the modes, and those defects can be offset by acting even within the mode of nature in Krishna's service and by chanting Om Tat Sat. Uh, Actually, all our activities should be aimed at pleasing the Supreme Lord. When sacrifice, penance, and austerity are performed without faith in the Supreme, they are useless both in this life and the next. So by chanting Om Tat Sat, we can purify our activities. So this Om Tat Sat is actually uh, referring to the Lord, Krishna. So how is that? We'll have this discussion toward the end of our class today. So we start from text number 11. Translation. Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the direction of scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness. So this is the symptom of sacrifice in the mode of goodness. So one is thinking that I'm performing the sacrifice as a matter of duty, and I don't desire any return, any reward. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, the general tendency is to offer sacrifice with some purpose in mind. But here it is stated that sacrifice should be performed without any such desire. It should be done as a matter of duty. Take, for example, the performance of rituals in the temples or in the churches. Generally, they are performed with the purpose of material benefit. But that is not in the mode of goodness. One should go to a temple or church as a matter of duty, offer respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and offer flowers and eatables without any purpose of obtaining material benefit. Yeah. So this is in the mode of goodness when one just go to the temple, to the mosque, or to the church, or any religious place. When one goes there with pure intention, no motivation, uh, it is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Forgive me. Yeah, I have little cold. And then text number 12. But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. Sometimes sacrifices and rituals are performed for elevation to heavenly kingdom or for some material benefit in this world. Such sacrifices or ritualistic performances are considered to be in the mode of passion. So one of the example is that like Daksha, yeah, Prajapati Daksha is performing the Yajna sacrifice out of his pride. You know, he wanted to be honored by all the demigods. Yeah, maybe I have little corona here. So yeah, such sacrifice with some material motivation is definitely considering the mode of passion because you are expecting, because one is expecting something out of that performance of sacrifice. Actually, both passion and ignorance, they are almost similar. Almost similar. Yes, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, you raise your hand. You have some question, comment. Okay, my mistake. To commit mistake is natural for us. To err is human, Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Okay. Text number 13. Any sacrifice performed without regard for the directions of scripture, without distribution of prasadam, spiritual food, without chanting of the Vedic hymns and remuneration to the priest, and without faith is considered to be in the mode of ignorance. So this kind of sacrifice is like, what is that? Hiranyakasipu, or even there's this name, what is his name? Vrikasura. Yeah, Vrikasura. Not Vritasura, but Vrikasura, who was performing Yagya sacrifice to please Lord Shiva. And the way how he performed sacrifice is very weird, not according to the Shastra. So he didn't chant any mantra, and he just cut his flesh and offered the fire to please Lord Shiva. And eventually he wanted to cut off his own head just to please Lord Shiva. So this kind of sacrifice is actually considered in the mode of ignorance because of not following any scriptural injunction. There is no prasadam distribution. So when one performs some sacrifice, there should be prasadam distribution at the end, and also some remuneration toward the brahmanas who who is present there, especially those Brahmanas who is taking part of that sacrifice, like the Hotri, for example. So the Brahmanas should be given some charity. It is described that when the Brahmanas, if even one Brahmana, those who out of those Brahmanas who come for the yajna, and if there is one Brahmana who doesn't feel satisfied with the donation or remuneration given by the host, so that yajna considered to be spoiled. Sadam should be given very sumptuously. But if there is no prasadam at the end, no donation to the brahmanas, so this sacrifice considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Yeah, no chanting of the Vedic hymn, no kirtan, and without faith. So I don't know what kind of sacrifice performed without faith, but it is mentioned here that without faith considered to be in the mode of ignorance. That means they're just following it out of ritual, some kind of uh, family tradition, for example. So they just do it, but they don't really have faith to such kind of ritual sacrifice. Faith in the mode of darkness or ignorance is actually faithlessness. Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. Faith in the mode of darkness or ignorance is actually faithlessness. Sometimes people worship some demigod just to make money and then spend the money for recreation, ignoring the scriptural injunctions. Such ceremonial shows of religiosity are not accepted as genuine. They are all in the mode of darkness. They produce a demoniac mentality and do not benefit human society. So this is more or less like a sacrifice in the mode of passion, almost similar, because the motivation is that just to get some material gain, money and wealth. So that's regarding sacrifice. And here is about tapasya, in which mode, when one performs tapasya and which mode is categorized in. Text number 14, the purity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and the superiors like father and mother, and cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. So this is austerity on the bodily level. So this is tapasya on the bodily level. There are 8 items mentioned here. Yeah. So yeah, offering obeisances, worshipping the Lord, worshipping the Brahmana, worshipping one's guru, worshipping superior. Cleanliness is also an austerity on the bodily platform. Simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. One should offer or learn to offer respect to God or to the demigods, the perfect qualified brahmanas and the spiritual master and spirits like father, mother, or any person who is conversant with Vedic knowledge. This should be given proper respect. There's one story of the brother of Brahmananda Prabhu. His name is Garga Muni Prabhu. So in the beginning, Garga Muni Prabhu said to Srila Prabhupada that when Srila Prabhupada came, so everybody offered obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. But Garga Muni Prabhu, he didn't offer obeisances. And then he approached Srila Prabhupada and he mentioned that, Prabhupada, I don't feel that I want to bow down. I don't feel, if I bow down, that means it is not genuine. And then Srila Prabhupada said, but you should still you should bow down. Still you should bow down. As you are bowing down again and again, so your faith will be developed. So bowing down is very significant, very important, especially to our spiritual master. So then Gargamuni Prabhu, he kept bowing down when he sees Sri Prabhupada. And later on he realized that, yeah, actually he feels that he got some change, some transformation within his heart simply by bowing down to his spiritual master. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, one of his reason taking sannyas is that because like 500 years ago, well, even now in India especially, so people respect very much those who are sannyasis. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas. One of the reasons why he took sannyas is that in order to give a chance to those who have offended him before he took sannyas to bow down to him, and eventually they can get some purification. So this is the austerity on the Badile platform. So cleanliness is also very important. Cleanliness, simplicity. One should practice cleanliness oneself externally and internally, and he should learn to become simple in behavior. Simple in behavior means straightforward. This is called simplicity. Simplicity means no duplicity. No duplicity means straightforwardness. That's what Srila Prabhupada defined by what is simplicity in behavior means. So he should not do anything which is not sanctioned by the scriptural injunctions. He should not indulge in sex outside of marriage life, for sex is sanctioned in the scripture only in marriage, not otherwise. This is called celibacy. Uh, so celibacy, brahmachari, even those who are grihastha also, if they simply have sex with his own wife, so if one simply has sex in marriage with his own wife, this is called celibacy. And more strictly is that if one uh, having some sexual intercourse only for the purpose of begetting Krishna conscious children, this is also celibacy. What Krishna mentioned in the beginning of the Gita, Dharma virodha bhuteshu kamo asmi bharatarshana. So kamo asmi. Lord Krishna says that that sexual intercourse which is in line in the scriptures according to scriptural injunction is me. So Krishna himself mentioned that sex is actually Krishna. Sex is actually such a very sacred thing because while conception, while having sex with one wife, one is actually in full meditation of the Supreme Lord because uh, he's inviting a great soul to be given to be discharged into the womb of his wife. So sex is very sacred, but nowadays it's becoming very cheap, just like the animals. Wherever and whenever one wants sex, so they just perform it. So yeah, Prabhupada also mentioned one should practice cleansing oneself externally and internally. So externally by taking bath, and internally, of course, by chanting or by study also. Malanir Mochana Pumsam, Jala Snanam Dine Dine, Sakrit Gita Amrita Snanam Samsara Balanashanam. So just like one is taking bath, cleaning his body by water. So we can purify our heart, our consciousness internally by taking bath in the sacred river, sacred Ganges river of the slokas of the Bhagavad Gita. And not only purification that one get, but one gets also samsara malanasanam, the liberation from the repetition of birth. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, is that by chance your hand is up or you want to make a comment, question?
Hare Krishna. I have one question, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
In this verse, it's mentioned that worship of Supreme Lord, Brahmana, spiritual master, and superiors. So why isn't it written cows also?
Sorry, why?
why cows are not there in the
Why cows? Why the cows are not included? Interesting question. Yes, why? I don't know why. Yeah, one should worship cows also. Of course, in the nectar of devotion, we find that also one should worship the banyan trees, sacred tree like banyan trees, tulsi, or also worshipping Amalaki. Why it is not mentioned here also? But yeah, um, well, when we worship Krishna and the Brahmanas, so these personalities, Krishna and the Brahmanas, they never separate from cows. So we also include cows there. When we worship Krishna, so when we perform abhishek for Krishna, well, automatically we are using cow products to worship Krishna. So indirectly, we can also include cows inside Krishna worship. And also the Brahmanas, when we are worshiping the Brahmanas, the main idea of worshiping somebody is actually to please that person. So the Brahmanas can be pleased by giving charity, and one of the charities that we can give is in the form of cows. Like in the past, we have seen many examples in the scriptures. Like Lord Krishna himself, it is described that when he was in Dwaraka, he used to give charity to the Brahmanas. He used to give charities of cows, 13,000 cows daily to the Brahmanas, 13,000 cows daily to the Brahmanas. We see also like, who is that? King Riga, for example. Yeah, King Riga. Maybe the story is not so familiar, but it is there in the Bhagavatam. That King Riga, he used to perform sacrifice every day, and whoever Brahmanas came, he used to give them like each Brahmanas 10 cows, and in that way the Brahmanas please. So I don't know why Krishna didn't mention worship of cows here, but yeah, that's my comment. There are so many things that we should worship. If we read the Nectar of Devotion, there it is elaborately described that worshipping trees, banyan trees. Like Krishna didn't mention there. Any comments from other devotees here?
I think so. In battlefield, there is no time for telling each and everything.
Yeah, thank you, Vanamali Prabhu. Yeah, because Krishna, he has very short time. So actually, it is described, yeah, it is described in the Uddhava Gita. Uh, I heard once a lecture by His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj. He mentioned that this Uddhava Gita is actually the elaboration of the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever Krishna didn't didn't mention because of the limitation of time, here to Arjuna in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, this Bhagavad Gita is actually spoken by Krishna to Uddhava in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Maharaj said like that. It is yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Can I comment, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna, please.
Prabhu, it is mentioned father and mother, and cow is mother.
Ah,
So it's already mentioned.
yeah. Interesting also. Correct. Yes, Parasuram Prabhu. Atma Mata Guru Patni, Brahmini Raja Patnika, Dhenur Datri Tatra Prithvi, Saptaita Mataram Smrita. So, yeah, correct. Very nice point that cow is one of our mothers. So here it is mentioned, spirit is like father and mother. Thank you very much. Nice. Okay, we continue. Text number 15. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chaya swadhyaya vyashanam chaiva vanmaya tapa uchyate. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regular reciting Vedic literature. So Swadhyaya Abhyasanam means we are reciting the Vedic mantras every day. Regularly means every day. So this is the tapasya for the speech. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his student. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. Chanakya Pandit said, Lalane bahavo doshas, tadane bahavo gunaha, tasmat putram cha sisyascha. So, tasmat putram cha sisyascha. You can chastise only your son, whether your son or your student. In the case of a spiritual master or a guru, so he can speak something that very seemingly harsh, but only to his students. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned here that not to others, not to others, not to those who are not his student, because it may will agitate their mind. Besides that, one should not talk nonsense. The purpose of speaking in spiritual circle is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he's saying. At the same time, such talks should be very pleasant to the ear. Such discussion, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate human society. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this. So, discussing scripture, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that there are limitless stock of Vedic literature. One should study this. So, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that his book will be the law book for his follower up to 10,000 years later. So we have to be able to be just like a lawyer who's expert in quoting some some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam or any scriptures to back up our statement. So of course there are so many literatures in our Krishna consciousness philosophy, but in Nectar of Devotion, this is a question for all of you. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that there are 4 books that if you study these 4 books, you will master, you will know the whole philosophy in Krishna consciousness. What are those 4 books that Srila Prabhupada mentioned in Nectar of Devotion? Any of you can give your...
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita.
Ishobnishad.
Sorry?
Ishobnishad.
No.
Ishobnishad.
No, he didn't mention that. Bhagavad Gita is it.
I think it's Bhakti Shastri, that's why.
Okay, 1 Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavatam. Okay, 2
Bhagavatam.
Sorry?
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. These are 2. And 2 more?
Chaitanya Chaitamrita.
Chaitanya Charitamrita. And 1 more?
And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah. Thank you. So these 4 Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, he didn't mention Chaitanya Charitamrita. He mentioned that the teaching of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya. But of course, the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there included in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also Nectar of Devotion. He didn't mention Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu because Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a Sanskrit version of Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is the actually Srila Prabhupada
comment.
commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yes.
And that's actually Srila Prabhupada simplified.
In Gujarati, they write only Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah, that's fine. Actually, they are the same. But in Nectar of Devotion, we don't find the verse. We don't find the verses of the Bhakti Rasamrita.
Yes,
Sindhu. For example,
but
like
that title in Hindi, Gujarati, and their title is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
yeah, fine. It's fine. But actually, they are the same. If we see like the first chapter of Nectar of Devotion, it is mentioned that there are 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada gave only the English translation. Even when Srila Prabhupada, he quoted some verses from the Bhagavatam. Actually, in Nectar of Devotion, there are, Srila Prabhupada, he was quoting like a lot verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, conversation between Krishna and Uddhava, Madhudeva Huti to Kapila, Prithu Maharaj. So all of them, Srila Prabhupada just give the English translation. He didn't put even a word, even one sloka in Nectar of Devotion. So he just quoting the English translation of the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Unlikely if we find like in his purport, like here in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, he quotes the Sanskrit verses of the verses that he referring to. But in Nectar of Devotion, he just gave the English translation. Because this book, he was aware that many of his followers from the West, in the beginning, they are not so conversant with the Sanskrit. So it's just like Srila Prabhupada writing the Krishna book for the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this Nectar of Devotion is just like that. The natural commentary of Srila Prabhupada on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the Nectar of Devotion, like Krishna book for the 10th canto. So yeah.
In English, they write Nectar of Instruction, and in Gujarati book, they write Updesh Amrit in Gujarati translation.
Yeah, even in Indonesian language also, the title is just the eternal teaching of Upadesh Mrita. Upadesh Mrita is the eternal teaching. The translation of Upadesh Amrita, Amrita means nectar or eternal. Upadesh means teaching. So yeah, doesn't matter. Thank you. So this is the austerity of speech. Yeah, truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others. And also in regularly reciting the Vedic literature. So sometimes some truth may not be very pleasing. Some truth may not be very pleasing. But truth is truth. And this is austerity of the mind. Text number 16. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned that in the early morning, as soon as we get up, we have to beat our mind with the shoes 100 times. And before we are going to the bed at night, before we are sleeping at night, we have to beat our mind with the broomstick 100 times. That means what? The mind is so turbulent, so wild, that we have to very, very strict with our mind. Don't give the chance to the mind of thinking something other than Krishna. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vinda. You're always thinking about Krishna's lotus feet. Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto, as Krishna mentioned in the 9th chapter of the Gita, always thinking about Krishna. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, I'm sorry, I have a very bad runny nose here. To make the mind austere is to make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thought of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more mind becomes dissatisfied. Smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidi niseda sur etayor eva kinka. So this verse is actually from the Padma Purana, which is there actually quoted by Srila Prabhupada again in the Nectar of Devotion. Yeah, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, always thinking about Krishna. Vismartavyo Najataji, never forget Krishna. So these two rules, actually the leaders of any other rules in our Krishna consciousness practice. Because after all, whatever activities that we perform, it should aim actually to support by which we can think about Krishna. Yeah, for example, why we are chanting the holy names, because we want to connect our mind to Krishna. By chanting of the holy name, we will think about Krishna. Why we are serving the deities, although serving the deities is actually the Yuga Dharma for the previous Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, but still we are worshipping the deities. Because when we see the deities, we can remember Krishna. When we take darshan, we remember Krishna because we are seeing Krishna. So all activities should aim actually to support our mind to connect with Krishna, to support ourselves by which we can think about Krishna. Avoiding sense gratification, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, means actually engaging ourselves in Krishna service. We cannot simply avoid sense gratification and not engaging ourselves in positive activities, Krishna consciousness activities. Srila Prabhupada, in the third chapter of the Gita, one of his purport, he mentioned that just like we say that you should not eat that, you cannot eat that. But simply by saying you should not eat that, you cannot eat that, but without providing what food that you should eat, then you will eat whatever available. So just like that, also the senses, the mind, should not do this, cannot do that. But if the positive engagement is not provided, then the senses will act in a negative activities, for sense gratification. This is a quote from Srila Prabhupada. This is from a lecture from the 9th chapter, actually, the last verse. To think of Krishna, what is the difficulty? We all have got thinking power. Our mind is never vacant. We are always thinking of something. Yeah, you see, that's true. Even while sleeping also. When we are dreaming, actually, our mind is working. When the body is resting, the mind is not resting. We think of something always, 24 hours. That is the mind's nature. So if you simply think of Krishna, then your life becomes successful. Okay. So this is text 17. This threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefit, but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called austerity in goodness. And then text 18 about austerity in the mode of passion. Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Text number 19. Penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada in his purport on the text number 19 gave the example of Hiranyakasipu. So this is self-torture and doesn't give any benefit to others. This is penance, tapasya in the mode of ignorance. Of course, patient is also there because he's expecting some material benefit out of his tapasya. But self-torture is actually, as we discussed in the previous class, when we torture ourselves, that actually giving pain to Krishna also, who's residing in our heart. Yeah. Now we will talk about charity. Charity given out duty without expectation of return at proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Yagyo danam tapojapyam sradam jasura pujanam gangaya yam smrita sarva koti koti gunam bhava. It is described that when we give charity on the banks of Ganga, not only charity, but yagyo, when we perform some yagya on the banks of Ganga. Yagyo danam, giving charity on the banks of Ganga. Yagyo danam, tapo, performing as charities. Tapo japyam, or chanting in the banks of Ganga. Koti koti gunam bhavet. The result will be 1,000 times koti koti gunam bhavet. So of course charity should be given to the right person, like the Brahmanas and the devotees. Srila Prabhupada in the 5th canto, 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam explained, I think that's the verse number 21, 22 or 23, 24 maybe. Anyway, one of those purports, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that what is the real quality of the Brahmana? What is the real quality of the Brahmana? What should be possessed by all the Brahmanas? The real Brahmana. Anybody would like to answer that question? What is the quality of a real Brahmana that a Brahmana should possess? Anybody would like to answer?
Punctuality
Punctuality.
and cleanliness.
Sorry?
And cleanliness.
Cleanliness. Yeah, that's punctuality.
Giving charity.
Giving
And
charity.
charity.
Oh, nice. Punctuality, cleanliness, giving charity. Any other devotees?
Prabhu Satyam Tapa Daya Saucham.
Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Saucham, the 4 pillars of Dharma. Very nice. Let's explore what are the qualities that a Brahmana should possess. Okay, let's explore this. What else? Thank you very much. What else?
One who knows the absolute truth.
One
Brahman.
who, yeah,
No, Brahman or absolute.
one who knows the absolute truth. Yeah, this is also one of the qualities that should be possessed by Brahmana. Any others? More?
Brahmana is the mind of the society.
Brahmana is the mind or the brain of the head or the head of the society. Yeah, very nice. More? Who has not speak here? What about Somaka Prabhu from Italy?
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Let me turn on. Sorry.
So,
Hare Krishna. I was thinking. I don't know if we mentioned it. Of course, the 4 pillars of dharma, and it's hard to. I mean, there are so many aspects. All the qualities of.
Yeah. Okay.
of
Let me. Yeah. Let me change my question. What is the most important quality of the Brahmana? What is the most important out of this? All the Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Saucham, Santir, Arjavam, Evacha, Gyanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahma, Karma, Swabhavajam. But what is the most important quality of the Brahmana?
It knows the supreme truth.
Knows the supreme truth. Okay.
Okay.
Any others? Still, I'm looking the exact answer that Srila Prabhupada gave in his purport in the 5th canto, 5th chapter of Bhagavatam. Very nice. Okay, thank you very much, Samaka Prabhu. Let's say here, maybe, we have here Gunavatar Prabhu. Maybe he wants to give us some enlightenment. Gunavatar from Cambodia. Or he's not there. Let's say here Parasuram Prabhu. Maybe Parasuram Prabhu would like to give an answer. Or Prithivipati Prabhu. Those who still performing Maunam here. I just want to call one by one. Or Viswambar Kripa Prabhu. Sravan Prabhu. Any of you? Okay, I don't want to waste your valuable time. I will reveal now.
So,
yes, Ali Prabhu.
Brahmana must perform duty without cheating the public.
Truthfulness.
Yes.
That is called truthfulness, without cheating the public. Truthfulness. Very good. Okay. All right. So, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, but I appreciate all your thought comments, which are actually all you mentioned are very good, very relevant. But Srila Prabhupada mentioned there, the most important quality of a Brahmana is that to be always engaged in the service of the Lord. Yeah, to be always engaged in the service of the Lord. This is the most important quality. Okay. In the Vedic literature, charity given to a person engaged in spiritual activities is recommended. There is no recommendation for giving charity indiscriminately. See, sometimes we are thinking that giving charity to a Brahmana or giving charity to a beggar, we will get the same result. This is called indiscriminately giving charity. But the result of that charity is also depend to whom we give the charity. Spiritual perfection is always a consideration. Therefore, charity is recommended to be given at a place of pilgrimage and at a lunar or solar eclipses, or at the end of the month, or to a qualified Brahmana or a Vaisnava devotee, or in the temples. Such charity should be given without any consideration of return. Gokoti danam grahana kagasha. So we have to give charity. Gokoti danam, charity of cows to the Brahmanas during the lunar or solar eclipse. Bhukoti Danam Grahana Kagasa. Grahana means eclipse. Like we see the pastime of Lord Krishna also, that of course Krishna's father Vasudeva Maharaj, they went to Kurukshetra during the eclipse to perform some yajna, and after that they are given millions of cows to the Brahmanas for charity. Srila Prabhupada continued, charity to the poor is sometimes given out of compassion, but if a poor man is not worth giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. In other words, indiscriminate charity is not recommended in the Vedic literature. So when we see beggar on the street, better not to give money to them, because they may utilize that money for the wrong purpose. Then we also will get the karmic reaction. Srila Prabhupada always recommend to give prasadam to the beggar. One time, His Holiness Kadambakananda Swami was giving a class, and he was telling his own story, that when he was in Amsterdam, he's from Holland, he's from Amsterdam. It was like long time ago. He was a Sankirtan leader at that time. So he went out with few devotees, few brahmacharis in a bus to do some Harinam Sankirtan on the street and book distribution. And then there was a beggar on the street, and Maharaj said to his friends that don't look into the eyes of the beggars. Don't look into the eyes. Just ignore them. Just ignore them. If you look at the eyes of the beggar, they will insist you to give some, asking for some money. And then they met this beggar, and then Maharaj said, walk, 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 walk. Don't look into the eyes. Don't look into the eyes. And then everybody walked, but there was one brahmachari said that, I have something for you. I have something for you. And Maharaj was so, he thought like that, oh my God, what is he doing? Oh my God, now he's going to give money to this beggar. That's devastation. And then this brahmachari, he pulled out from his pocket, like peeled, if you peel an apple after few hours, not few hours, just few minutes, the color becomes like dark reddish color. The color change. But this piece of apple, so this brahmachari, he pulled out one piece of apple, not a piece but a slice, because when we offer apple to the deities or any fruits, actually we peel it first. But this apple, this brahmachari said to Maharaj that it's offered 2 days ago. 2 days ago. So the color is like really dark, And then he pulled out this apple from his pocket. He just remembered that he still kept this apple. And then he asked this beggar to open his mouth, but this beggar rejected to open his mouth. And then this brahmachari forced to squeeze, not to squeeze, to push this slice of apple into his mouth. And then he closed the beggar's mouth and asked the beggar to chew and swallow it. And then this brahmachari said, yeah, I have done it. So to the beggar, money is not recommended to be given, but prasadam is always encouraged. Yeah. So this is not recommended to give money to the beggar. Yes, Parasuram Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have 2 questions. First is
Please.
like nowadays we give charity not to a person but to an institution, isn't it, Prabhu? So is that also proper? And like people have a tendency that when they are going to a temple, they give something, but they think that they are giving to Krishna. So can charity be given to the Lord also? And my second question is, Prabhu, the Kshatriyas, generally, if someone asks them something, they give. So they do not, hold back their hand. They just give if someone is asking. So is that there also Kshatriya should see whether the person is qualified or not?
Yeah, interesting. So let's go with the first one. Yeah, like when we give charity to some institution or temple. So yeah, why not? It is always encouraged to give charity. When we give charity to the temple, for example, that for the daily service, for example. Yeah. So that's always encouraged. Charity should be given to institution like the temple, and charity should be given to a Brahmana, or more specifically to a Vaishnava, to the devotee who is engaged in Krishna's service, or more specifically to those who are preacher actually. Yeah, so that's nothing wrong with that. Why not? When we go to a temple, so we give charity. Yeah, we are giving charity
Because
to Krishna's
generally it
service.
always mentions that to a proper person,
Mm.
there is no mention of, or at least I don't know if there is mention of institution also you can give or something like that.
Well, for spiritual institution like ISKCON, well, we as devotees, we know to whom we should give charity. To institution like spiritual institution like ISKCON is okay, fine, no problem, because ultimately that charity will bring result to us whenever we give charity, even without expecting the result. Of course, when we give charity, we should not expect a result in return, but there are always the consequences or the result of our charity. So when we give charity to a Krishna conscious person or spiritual institution, and that money is utilized in Krishna service, so we get spiritual benefit. Our spiritual credit is increased. And regarding your second question, a Kshatriya, so it is the nature of Kshatriya, whoever takes shelter of him, he should protect. And if somebody comes with folded hand asking for charity, so Kshatriya should give charity to that person. Now the question is that whether he should consider also whether that person who comes to him qualified or not. Um, yeah, I think so. The Kshatriya should give. Well, the real meaning of Kshatriya is to protect from harm. Yeah, it's a bit difficult question, but generally a Kshatriya, they will always give uh, a Kshatriya. But I don't know exactly, so I don't have comment on this whether a Kshatriya will see whether that person qualified or not to accept the charity. But the nature of Kshatriya, they will always give. Even they will give their own life. They will give their own life. Like when Arjuna came to Duryodhana's camp at night. So during the battle, during daytime they were fighting, and at night they became normal, like friends. So Arjuna came asking for the arrows. But before that, Duryodhana welcomed Arjuna and asked Arjuna, "What do you want? Whatever you want, I will give. Even if you beg for your kingdom now, I will give." That was the spirit, the nature of Kshatriya. And also we find that when Bhima, Arjuna, and Krishna came to Jarasandha in disguise of the Brahmanas, of course. So Jarasandha said that whatever you want, I shall give. Even if you want my head now, I can cut my head and give to you for charity, no problem. So this is the nature of Kshatriya. So normally Kshatriya will give. Sometimes they don't think also whether the person qualified or not, whether the consequences will be fine or not. But as far as devotees are concerned, of course, devotees, Kshatriya, devotees are concerned, they should consider whether the person qualified or not. Otherwise, it will create havoc. It will create negative effect. So, but generally, Kshatriya, because the nature of Kshatriya, mostly they are proud. They are proud in the sense of they want to show that they are, yes, I am the man, like this. Maybe let's hear other devotees comment, or Parashuram Prabhu, you have your own comment you would like to share. I don't know regarding this exactly.
Thank you, Prabhu. I had also asked about, like people go to temple, they think they are giving charity to Krishna. So is that also, you can please speak something on that?
What do you mean? Like when you give, when you go to temple and then you give the money to somebody, temple manager, something
No,
like that?
no. Like, of course, in ISKCON also, just before the deities, you will have the hundi.
Uh,
Okay, and so people give, and of course, before they used to throw money at Shivling or before the deities.
mm.
So is that proper, or mentality like I am giving to Krishna? Does Krishna also accept, or because I'm not able to understand how this thing is, or is it wrong that one is thinking that I'm giving to Krishna charity?
No, it is not wrong. If you put the money in hundi, for example, in hundi, it's okay because, well, it should. I there's one devotee. I was discussing this point actually with one devotee recently. That what if this money, because we don't know when we put the money in hundi whether the temple manager using it properly or not. Sometimes we have doubt. Sometimes we have doubt also with this thing. And but one senior devotee said, when we go to temple, when you put the money inside the hundi, mm, so it is always accepted by Krishna, whether whether the money is utilized by the temple manager in a proper way or not. But your intention is seen by Krishna, because you want to give to Krishna that money, because you want to give to Krishna that money, so you get the spiritual benefit because you are giving this money for Krishna service. That's your intention. You get spiritual credit. The problem now, whether the temple manager will utilize that money in the proper way or not. So Krishna will deal with them. Krishna will deal with them. So that was the answer that I got from one of the senior devotees here. It just few days ago, I had this kind of discussion because one devotee was having doubt. Prabhu, if I give this money to this, whether they will utilize it properly or not, then one senior devotee gave the answer like that. So Krishna is seeing your intention. And yeah, we get some spiritual benefit because we are giving it for the right cause, right purpose, for Krishna's service. So regarding the temple manager, Krishna will deal with them personally. So yeah, better to don't throw the money directly to the deity. Uh, just put in the donation box. I think that's more right way how to do that. Or you can approach some temple manager and ask for the receipt, because there it will be written that for what purpose this money. For example, like Didi Sewa or Go Sewa or Prasadam distribution, it will be written there. It will be written there in the receipt, and they cannot cheat actually because it is there written. So better to approach some official, temple official, and ask for the receipt to make your mind also will be pacified. You are assured that this money will be utilized properly if you get some receipt, rather than simply, throwing or giving to a person and ask him, please utilize this money for this. well, intention is always good. Krishna is reciprocating with us. But if we still have doubt, better to approach a temple official that who can give us some receipt, written receipt, bona fide receipt. And if you want, also you can ask for the ATG receipt. That's more strong, I think. They cannot cheat. You can ask for ATG receipt. Like here in Mayapur, we have this for the Food for Life Anadan service. So they are also providing the ATG receipt. So using this ATG receipt, they cannot cheat. So that's my comment. But Krishna is always seeing our intention, and Krishna reciprocating with that. Regarding the temple managers, so Krishna also will deal with them personally.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So how is that, Parasuram Prabhu? Maybe you still have some doubt.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's clear.
Yeah. Okay, we continue. Text number.
So I have
Okay.
2 points.
Prabhu, please.
One brahmachari have told, he is discussing with other brahmachari that whatever we get donation on which seva, we have to use on that seva only. If one say this is for Gaushala, we can't use for temple construction.
Yeah, that's true.
And another point is, I went to a staff yatra in south. I don't remember the place too, but there is 2 pond, not pond, something like kund they have made, and 2 sisters have given the donation for that. And one sister keep asking the temple authority, where are you using this money, how is using this money. And 2 kunda just beside one another, and one kund is producing a pure water, ekdam clear, crystal clear water. And construction of that kund is also very nice. And the one sister is asking the temple authority very much questions. His kund water is very green and not, and all village people use that for washing clothes, that kund, and another kund's water is going for Lord's worship nearby temple.
Very nice.
I don't remember the place though in south.
Maybe those who are from South India can give us some information. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. So I don't know why I skipped text number 21. I just read it here from my phone. Text number 21. But charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with a desire for fruitive result, or in a grudging mood, is said to be charity in the mode of passion. So with the grudging means like, oh, why it's too much. So this is called grudging. So such kind of charity is in the mode of passion. Okay, text number 22. And charity performed at an impure place, or at an improper time to unworthy person, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Sometimes we find this. You see this picture, homeless need money for weed, drugs, and alcohol. And some people will give this guy money. I was watching a video, one of my friends shared it to me, that one video regarding social, what do you call this, test, something like that. So the real beggar begging for food, people don't pay attention so much to him. But when somebody wrote like it's money for drugs, weed, and alcohol, so people give money. So this kind of people who are giving money to support this kind of sinful activities is actually, they are in the mode of ignorance. This kind of charity is in the mode of ignorance. Contribution for indulgence in intoxication and gambling are not encouraged here. That sort of contribution is in the mode of ignorance. Such charity is not beneficial. Rather, sinful persons are encouraged. Similarly, if a person gives charity to a suitable person but without respect and without attention, that sort of charity is also said to be in the mode of darkness. You see, when somebody gives charity to a proper person but not respecting that person, so that's also considered to be in the mode of darkness, ignorance. Okay, that's end the first part of our discussion. We still have another 20 minutes. So this is the second part. Chanting Om Tat Sat purifies activities. Sometimes I'm thinking, why we don't chant Hare Krishna? I mean, why here not chanting Hare Krishna? Why it mentioned by Krishna here, Om Tat Sat purifies our activities. All activities are contaminated by the modes, and those defects can be offset by acting even within the modes of nature in Krishna's service and by chanting Om Tat Sat. Actually, all our activities should be aimed at pleasing the Supreme. When sacrifice, penance, and austerity are performed without faith in the Supreme, they are useless both in this life and in next. So I found some of the devotees here when they are giving class. After reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, they chanting this Hari Om Tat Sat. I was wondering why this devotee is chanting Om Tat Sat. And here it is, the answer. Actually, this Om Tat Sat is referred to the Lord. Text number 23. From the beginning of creation, the three words of Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. So this Om Tat Sat is non-different from Krishna's holy name. It is Krishna. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. These three words, Om Tat Sat, particularly indicate the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vedic hymns, the word Om is always found. You see, like any mantras, actually, mantras that we chant, normally it is started with the word Om, like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or even the Gayatri mantra, like Om Bhurvua. So that's actually this Gayatri mantra is a secret mantra, yeah. But here in India, even in Indonesia also, this Gayatri mantra is well known and played aloud on the speaker. But yeah, like any mantras in the Vedic literature normally started with the Om, like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this mantra is actually given by Narad Muni to Dhruva. So Narad Muni gave this mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya to Dhruva Maharaj to please Lord Vishnu. You worship. Narad Muni said that you go to the forest, make a deity from clay, and worship that deity by chanting this mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In that way, Lord Narayan will be pleased with you. The three words Om Tat Sat are uttered in conjunction with the holy name of the Supreme Lord, Om Tat Vishnu. Whenever a Vedic hymn or the holy name of the Supreme Lord is uttered, Om is added. Like Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyam Tisurayo. So this mantra. So yeah, this Om, these three words, Om Tat Sat, is actually referred to Krishna, especially the Om. The Om is indicated, the Om is indicating the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what about Tat and Sat? We'll discuss that. Bhagavad Gita recommends, therefore, that any work done should be done for Om Tat Sat, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one performs penance, charity, and sacrifice with these three words, he is acting in Krishna consciousness. Text number 24. Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performances of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with scriptural regulations begins always with Om to attain the Supreme. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. This is from Rig Veda. The lotus feet of Vishnu are the supreme devotional platform. The performance of everything on behalf of Supreme Personality of Godhead assures the perfection of all activities. Yes, Parasuram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question. Like we generally use, like for the pranam, we say Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhams, or we use Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna. So we are adding, starting with Jai or Nama. Whereas in the Vedic literature, generally we are seeing like it is very Om Namo, means Nama is after Om and Om is done first. So is there any difference, or it can be changed like that? Because here also it states that it should start with Om.
Like that. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Param. Nama Om Vishnu. Actually, if we analyze like Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa. So Om Vishnu Pad, Vishnu Pad is normally those who are the acharyas in our line. The acharyas in our line, they always given the title. This is called honorific title. Honorific title, like His Divine Grace. His Divine Grace is an honorific title. Also, Om Vishnu Pad, Acharya Pad, Vishnu Dev, Acharya Dev. This is called honorific title. So before that, before their title, we add the word Om, Om Vishnu Pad. That means because this title is given because they are such a qualified person. Because the Guru is, according to Tattva, the Guru is non-different from Krishna. The Acharya is very dear to Krishna. So Om Vishnu Pad, Om Vishnu Pad. So the word Jai means to glorify. Let's glorify. So we glorify Srila Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Pariviridikacharya. Astotarasata. So Astotarasata is 108. Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnu. And also like Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. So we are offering obeisances. But in the case of when we are chanting mantra,
my question is different. My question is because of the writing which is mentioned here in Bhagavad Gita also, shouldn't we say like, instead of Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, wouldn't it be better to have Om Namo Vishnu Padaya? Like we have Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And instead of having Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramhams, we can have, Om Jai Vishnu Pad Paramhams. Starting with Om, that is my question, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, please answer that question.
I wanted to mention one thing. When Srila Prabhupada, when he writes his Guru Maharaj's name in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam anywhere, he'll write as Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Ashtottara Satar, etc. Like that. So, and maybe because of Sanskrit grammar rules, maybe it's Nama Om, not Om now.
Prabhu, we have Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There Nama comes after Om.
So I don't know.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Maybe you can ask a Sanskrit scholar.
Yeah. We should have a Sanskrit scholar.
Yes, scholars here, Prabhu. I'm asking scholars.
So in order to not speculating the answer, so that was my response. I don't know exactly. But if you sometimes we find also when Srila Prabhupada giving lecture, when he quotes some Sanskrit verse, sometimes he just, how to say, just recite the verse not in correct line, but he's put them like upside down, I would say like that. But the main idea is that he get the meaning, he give the meaning. But regarding this, I think it is a technical question. It is related to Sanskrit grammar. But according to Vedic mantra, everything start with Om. So I don't know what is the answer.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We'll ask some more.
Yeah, I apologize that I cannot give you a proper answer to that question. Okay, text number 25. Without desiring for the result, one should perform various kind of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. So first of all, that word Om is referred to Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu's name. That is Om. And then Tat, Tat in Sanskrit means that. So what is that? That refers to achieve the goal. So that's referring to the goal that we want to achieve, and that is liberation. To be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. Acts should be performed for the ultimate gain of being transferred to the spiritual kingdom, back home, back to Godhead. Dharmasya hiya pavargyasha. So dharmasya hiya apavargyasha. When we perform our dharma, duty, sacrifice, that should be aimed toward giving us liberation. Dharmasya hiya pavargyasha. Na arthor tayo pakalpati. It is not for the material gain when we perform dharma. Na arthor tayo pakalpati. Nartasya dharma kantasya kamola bhaya hi smita. So even if we get some material gain, it should not be for sense gratification. Dharmasya hiya pavargyasya na artarto nartor tayo pakalpate natasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smrita. So because when we perform dharma, material gain will be automatically comes as the byproduct, I would say like that. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned nadanam najanam nasundarim. Because when one chants the holy name of the Lord, this dhanam, janam, and sundarim will be automatically come as a byproduct. That is not the main result of the chanting of the holy name, but it is the side effect of the chanting of the holy name, the byproduct. So whenever we perform dharma, so the byproduct in the form of material gain will come automatically. But kamo labhaya hi smritaha. It should not be utilized for sense gratification. So if money comes out of our performance of dharma, it should be given back again to Krishna. It should be utilized in Krishna's service. So that is the word tat. 26, 27. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word sat. The performer of such sacrifice is also called sat, as are all works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, which true to the absolute nature are performed to please the Supreme Person or Son of Rita. So this sat means eternal. Sat means eternal, and sacrifice should be performed for that sat, that eternal Krishna's pleasure. So this Om Tat Sat, Om indicating Krishna, Tat indicating the goal, which is liberation, Tat or that, Sat is the eternal. Okay, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the transcendental subject matter becomes clear in the association of the devotees. The word used are satam prasangam. Without good association, one cannot achieve transcendental knowledge. When initiating a person or offering the sacred thread, one vibrates the word Om Tat Sat. Similarly, in all kinds of performance of yajna, the subject is the supreme Om Tat Sat. The word Tad Artityam, Tad Artyam, further means offering service to anything which represents the supreme, including such service as cooking and helping in the Lord's temple, or any other kinds of work for broadcasting the glories of the Lord. This supreme word Om Tat Sat are thus used in many ways to perfect all activities and make everything complete. It is interesting that this word should be, according to this discussion that we have, Krishna says here, of course, that that activities will be complete when we utter these three words, Om Tat Sat, because this Om Tat Sat is actually representing Krishna. That means what? Every activity should be offered to Krishna. Yeah, any sacrifice especially. So it should be closed. I would say like that. Should be closed by chanting this Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat is non-different from Krishna. Krishna's holy name in the beginning. This text number 23. Yeah, we have found there that this Om Tat Sat especially indicate the Supreme Lord. So everything should be connected to Krishna. That's the idea of this section. So in the beginning, in the first part of our discussion, we're discussing about charity, sacrifice, in which mode, although they are still in the mode of good, although they are in the mode of goodness, still they are influenced by material reaction, because goodness is still, because whatever material, whether good or bad, will bind us. But when it is directed for the pleasure of Krishna, then we will become free from the reaction. Therefore, Om Tat Sat, or giving it for Krishna's pleasure. Mantratas, tantratas, chidra. Desa kalar havastutah sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam. So by chanting Krishna's name, the performance of sacrifice or yajna is actually complete, done. That's why, of course, now we don't find that we are chanting Om Tat Sat. Well, maybe those who are Brahmanas, Hotri, they are chanting this mantra, the Om Tat Sat, at the end of any yogic performance. But the Hare Krishna mantra for the Kali Yuga, when we are performing yajna, it should be uttered there to accompany this yajna, to make it perfect, to make it complete, Om Tat Sat, or the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because this Om Tat Sat is Krishna, Supreme Lord himself, indicating the Supreme Lord. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also not different from Krishna. Okay, the last one. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme or Son of Prita is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and in the next. So there is the word. There is word sat and also asat. What time is it? So sat means eternal, asat means temporary. This afternoon I was listening to one lecture by Srila Prabhupada. He was discussing about the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Prahlad Maharaj gave the instruction to his father that sadhu manye surya varya dehinam, that verse. So Prabhupada explained this word sat and asat. Asat means temporary things like our wealth, so-called wealth, our family, house, land. This is asat, as long as we are attached with this. So we cannot attain perfection in this life. And when we focusing to the sat or the eternal. What is the eternal? Eternal means our relationship to Krishna. Pancha udva vanam rajat, vanam gato yad dharim asrayeta. Take shelter of Krishna. Pursue for that sat or eternal things. So this is Krishna mentioned here. Krishna mentioned about faith also. So we have to perform sacrifice, charity, and penance with faith. So what happens if we perform some charity or sacrifice without faith? So the result will not be there. The result will be we have to come back again to this material world. Asradadana Purusha, Dharmashasya Parantapa, Aprapya Mam Nivartante, Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. So Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. This has happened when we perform dharma without faith. Asradadana Purusha, Dharmashasya. So Asrada, without faith performing dharma, the result is Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. We have to come back again to this material world. Anything done without transcendental object, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Therefore, in this verse, it is declared that such activities are abominable. Everything should be done for the Supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith and without the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. In all the Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instruction, the ultimate goal is understanding of Krishna. Continue. In the conditional state, people are attracted to worshipping demigods, ghosts, or yakshas like Kuvera. The mode of goodness is better than the mode of passion and ignorance. But one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature, although there is a process of gradual elevation. If one, by the association of pure devotees, takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way. Okay, so how to make everything transcendental? By connecting it to Krishna. Of course, the mode of goodness is still better than passion and ignorance, but if we take directly to Krishna consciousness, that's the best way, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned. I have noted that Burijan Prabhu mentioned that in the 1950s, whenever Srila Prabhupada he wrote letters, so he would put at the end Om Tat Sat. It is interesting. Om Tat Sat indicates Lord Krishna. All right, thus end our presentation, my presentation on this section. Were there any last comment or question, please, before I close this class? I apologize, I have little cold. Okay, thank you all very much. Vanchapadravyascha Kripa Sindhu Eva Patitanam Panebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.